What happens when we get to Celestia, defeat the Heavenly Principles, and ultimately save Teyvat? What's next? Do the servers just shut down and that's the last time we'll ever step foot in Teyvat? All your characters and hard work's just gone, the game dies, and we all move on. In this video, we're going to be going over why Genshin Impact will never end or die, and the only thing that can kill it is itself and its own developers. Now, I'm not even talking about that so infamous and famous Genshin killer that we've been waiting for years, that every new game that comes out similar to Genshin gets that title, the Genshin killer, the infamous Genshin killer. I'm not even talking about that, but we will talk about that as well. I'm talking about when we actually finish up in Teyvat, this 7-year journey we've been on since the end of 2020. We wrap it up in Conria, and then what happens? This game will never fall off, even when the entire story of Teyvat finishes, and we'll go over all of that in this video. People have actually been talking about this for years, but the thing is, we're closer than we've ever been. We only have Natlan, Shaznia, and Conria, so 3 more years, give or take, and then Teyvat's done. Unless they force it like a TV show that's gone on way too long. You know, they'll have to find new ways to tell stories or what's gonna happen. Genshin might have the most genius formula for a game we've ever seen, having a AAA free game with this beautiful overworld, beautiful characters, cool animations, cool graphics, music, and free to play for everybody, but they have a way of making tons of money, and it's perfectly genius. You don't have to pay a cent to play this game, but they'll make their money. Reason number 1, and the most important reason in my opinion, Genshin Impact is a part of pulp culture now. It's huge. It got bigger than it had any business getting, and I'm not saying it didn't deserve it, I'm just saying it got bigger than anyone ever anticipated. People that I know that don't even play video games have heard of this game, including my wife and just other people on TikToks or social media. They'll see references to it, like they know it. And it's very popular and very successful. That is obvious reason why this game will keep going, but that's not enough. Now, in order to understand where we're going, how did it get so big? Well, there's 3 main pillars, or 3 main reasons why Genshin blew up the way it did. Reason number 1, it piggybacked off of Breath of the Wild, whether we want to admit it or not. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking inspiration, but it did. I mean, the whole Legend of Zelda franchise itself was inspired from Peter Pan, and I would say there's not even a single game or media franchise out there that hasn't got inspiration from somewhere, so that's not meant to be negative, but it did. It took great inspiration from Breath of the Wild, but also put a twist on it in a brand new way that we've never seen before, with a free AAA type game that has cool characters, animations, overworld music. It's all AAA with an interesting system that's actually very smart when you think about it. I personally found out about this game because someone smashed a PS4 and it was blowing up, like it was this huge meme. Oh, it's a copy of Breath of the Wild. Then I was looking into the gameplay, some of the beta, and I was like, this looks really cool and interesting. You can use 4 characters, elemental warfare, which is right down my alley, but it's open world, it looks super interesting, the bosses, so it piqued my interest, and then I started following the game like a lot of people did, and a lot of people found out this way. So it piggybacked off Breath of the Wild's success and the hype around it at the time, because it was huge when it was out. But it did something, it was revolutionary, and it was the first of its kind. We've had gacha games before, but this was something different. People that don't normally play gacha games like myself were playing this game. And reason number 3, it came out in late 2020 during COVID, where people were at home and looking for things to do. Those are the 3 pillars as to why Genshin blew up so huge the way it did and never looked back. Now, obviously they built off this. They have a free game now that's very popular, so everyone can try it out, and everyone can get hooked, invested in these beautiful characters, and this grand story of Teyvat, the Heavenly Principles, and this deep lore. Now they already have a runaway train. They have this AAA game that's for free, but the genius part is that no matter what, if you decide to play this game, and being that it's free, most people will be willing to try, you're gonna want to pull for characters. Now, they might not make their money right away, but eventually you're going to get hooked on new characters. And you have 2 options. You can be loyal, free to play, and you'll have to invest your time to save up for these characters, or you're eventually going to at least pull on that one character that you really, really, really like a novelty character, a Harbinger, an Archon, you name it. That one character that you just have to play and adventure with. That's where they get you. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But a brand new AAA game is worth around $80 to $100 wherever you're from. If you pull for even one 5-star in Genshin, whether it takes a year for you to do it, they made their money. That is why this is a free-to-play game and why it took off the way it did. It's a genius formula. Probably the best formula we've ever seen for a video game. Fortnite has a similar formula, but the skins and battle passes that you get in that game, you don't even need for the overworld or need for competitiveness. It's literally cosmetic. But Genshin introduces new unique gameplay and gimmicks for new characters, and you might have a free-to-play player that doesn't want to pull for all of them, but man, they're either going to invest their time or eventually cave and make that one pull, that one purchase, and they made their money. So no matter what, they want your time or your money, you're gonna have to commit to one or the other in order to get what you want. It's genius, and it works. It's been like this for years now. We're going into 2024. But what actually happens when we reach the end of Teyvat? Finish off with Shesnaya and Conria, whatever this conclusion to the story, whether you think it's the Heavenly Principles' defeat, whatever happens, happens. The story ends in Teyvat. What happens? What can they do? Well, it's pretty simple, really. They can simply just do what Tower of Fantasy did and go to other planets. The travelers can literally do what their name is, travel somewhere else outside of Teyvat. This game has millions and millions of dollars at its disposal. They could add new weapons, elements, gameplay gimmicks, different fighting and combat mechanics. They can make it so that only your Teyvat characters have to stay in Teyvat with their elemental powers, but if you venture off to a new planet, eventually wherever that might be, it's a totally different combat system. You got to adapt to that one now. There are a lot of ways they can go about this. Have a new threat introduced. You go to a new planet and there's another whole different conflict with characters, and now you get involved in that one, and you have this whole new story. They might even have developers working on that as we speak, because like I said, we're only 2-3 years away from this, so they might already have that in development for what comes next, because unless they really drop the ball, which we'll talk about, there's no way this game's going away. They're definitely going to come up with new interesting ways to tell stories once this story of the Heavenly Principles is wrapped up. And who knows, we might even stay in Teyvat and they might expand it even further, go deeper into the past, or maybe they even can do that, where you get to play as past characters, or have a time jump where you can go into the past and replay some of the major events that happened, like the Archon War, the Cataclysm, or whatever. Maybe we get to replay the first siblings' journey leading up to the current game. There are a lot of options they have in order to actually physically continue this game and story for many more years, and many more interesting characters and gimmicks they can just introduce on a whim. They got the money, they got the funding, and that doesn't even go into other options like crossover, skins, and things like that. So there's a lot of options. Now, as far as this Genshin killer, this infamous Genshin killer, that every new game like Tower of Fantasy, poor game, never had a chance because it was already being labeled the next Genshin Impact or Genshin Killer. Games like that, it's just never gonna happen. Genshin's its own thing, it's its own genre. It's like you could introduce a game that's in every way the same and better than a Pokemon game, but Pokemon's always gonna outperform it and just do well because it's Pokemon. They don't even have to make good games. They just have to pump them out. People are gonna buy them. And that kind of brings us into our next point. That's the only thing that can kill this game, is if they get lazy and stagnant in what they do. They have been pretty decent introducing underwater with Fontaine, different mechanics, even quality of life, like the character screen's different now. But they could screw this up if they decide to be a little too greedy. And one aspect that I can see people getting really sick of this game is its storytelling. Storytelling and lore is the main driving force of this game, not meta like some people would believe. But if they get a little too stingy on just giving us breadcrumbs and little snippets of cutscenes and things like that and get a little lazy, then people will lose interest. It is a fine line that they're dangling on now, making us wait year after year for actual meat and potatoes of the main story, where you could just buy a full game, binge it right to the end and move on. You're stuck waiting year after year for more little snippets of info. We're usually left with more questions than answers, which is always fun to theorize on, but it's a dangerous line they play, because if you're not giving us good quality storytelling and you're just giving us filler after filler side event or just hangouts and just nonsense a little too much, you're going to kill off people's interest in this game, and they're just going to get fed up waiting. They don't want to wait 3 years to find out what happens, you know what I mean? So I think they do need to improve in these aspects. They're doing okay right now, But after Teyvat ends and everyone's invested, is everyone going to be willing to invest in a whole 7-year shindig again with a new whole story, maybe a new planet like we talked about, our new map? I don't know. People are going to be pretty burnt at that point, so they're going to have to adapt in a way that competes with everyone else. They're going to have to adapt in some way or form. They'll be able to release new maps and areas to explore to keep people interested, but eventually they're going to have to correct this and make it a little more efficient, or at least give us a little bit more. I also don't like that they include a lot of very important lore drops in just trailers, like with the Winter Lazo trailer where we got all the Fatui Harbingers revealed. That was a trailer. Someone might not have even watched that and is playing this game and is like, what's going on? How does everyone know about all these Harbingers? Like, I feel like they should be including these things in the actual game, like Xenoblade 2 does, where they have a little cutscene showing what the villains are up to, just to give you an idea, and it pushes the narrative and the story forward. I do think that's Genshin's like Achilles heel right now, because they are solely reliant on their characters falling in love with the overworld, the atmosphere, the music, and just the story. That's the main driving force of this game. They got a winning formula, and they're always introducing new areas and things to do, as well as new characters to get attached to and lore drops. But if they're a little too stingy on the breadcrumbs that we get, you are gonna lose people. But if Genshin just adapts and listens to player feedback and actually listens, this game can never die or end. They make too much money, they're too popular, all they have to do is listen. You know, add new endgame stuff, add new collabs, new character skins, different types of characters. Give us what we want and make it interesting, and add new interesting mechanic while giving us good storytelling, and you're always going to have people that are interested in this game. I guarantee it. It's a AAA free-to-play amazing game with deep storytelling, beautiful visuals, and music. There's no way you're not going to have people interested in this game if you do all these things. But if you get lazy and stagnant and just keep repeating the same thing, people are super invested in Teyvat right now, but once that wraps up, people are going to just feel like it's another whole 7-year freaking commitment to go to another new place or do a whole new story, so you're going to lose them. That is why I think Genshin Impact will never die. And I don't see the developers not correcting the things that they do need to in order to keep this game going, because at the end of the day, they want to keep making money. Obviously, it's a business at the end of the day. But they have a winning game with a winning formula and a huge fan base, so they can make it happen. But on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're ever going to get this Genshin killer that they've been talking about for years? I honestly hope they introduced a game that competes with Genshin, so Genshin will have to raise the bar. I think having competition is good. Genshin's had no competition for so long, and they're slowly starting to get a little bit, but we really need a game to just go neck and neck with it, that it'll force Genshin to improve in ways that they have no choice. Competition can only be good for this industry, for other games. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this far. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you all watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. And as always, we'll see you all in the next one. Later.